A unique characteristic of online shopping environments is that they allow vendors to create retail interfaces with highly interactive features. One desirable form of interactivity from a consumer perspective is the implementation of sophisticated tools to assist shoppers in their purchase decisions by customizing the electronic shopping environment to their individual preferences.
Exhilarating, exhausting, and intense. There are just some of the words used to describe doing an MBA. Everyone's experience of doing MBA is, of course, different. Through denying that it's hard and a demanding work whichever course you do, MBA is one of the fastest growing areas of studying in the UK, so that must be a sustainable benefit against form in one pain. Categorization is the brain's tool to organize nearly everything we encounter in our daily lives. Grouping information into categories simplifies our complex world and helps us to react quickly and effectively to new experiences. Researchers identified neurons encoding learned categories and thereby demonstrated how abstract information is represented at the neuronal level.
As technology keeps growing, Political and economic leaders have utilized cinema in changing and shaping people's outlooks, either for their own benefit or for the benefit of the people. Quality translations are also readily available and extremely affordable for everyone these days, which makes it easy for filmmakers to reach their target audiences from all corners of the world in their mother tongue.
Charlie Chaplin and his brother Sidney were placed in an orphanage at a very early age. Becoming a vaudeville performer, he joined Fred Carnot's company in 1906. He made his film debut in Making a Living 1914 and introduced the famous CDN soft-hearted gentleman tramp routine, which became his hallmark. Numerous films for various studios brought him world fame, all based on his mastery of pathos and slapstick acrobatics.
The problem is that increased immune vigilance has a side effect: allergies. Our speculation is that this is some kind of trade-off. In the past you needed to resist some kind of pathogen, and the trade-off or sacrifice you have to make is increased responsiveness to non-pathogenic allergens. So, next time some of you get the springtime sniffles, blame your distant ancestor, the one with the heavy brow ridge.
English colonies emerged along the eastern seaboard for a variety of reasons. People, primarily men, originally migrated to Virginia to find gold and silver to make a quick profit. After it became evident that there were no precious metals in the area, men came to Virginia to start cultivating cash crops like tobacco.
Surgical site infections are caused by bacteria that get in through incisions made during surgery. They threaten the lives of millions of patients each year and contribute to the spread of antibiotic resistance. In low and middle-income countries, 11% of patients who undergo surgery are infected in the process.
Artificial neural networks have recently become the state-of-the-art technique for crucial signal processing applications, such as specific frequencies classification, structural health monitoring, diseases detection in power electronic circuitry, and motor fault detection. This is an expected outcome as there are numerous advantages of using an adaptive and compact deep counterpart, which particularly can be efficiently trained with a limited dataset of signals, besides requiring data transformation.
Yet it is precisely in observing the intertwinings of success and failure that chasing the flame makes its greatest mark with piercing insight and relentless logic. It reveals the pitfalls of international politics and details an intricate struggle between individual and institution. It haunts us with the poignant truth that even a great man can do only so much to reinvent the world.
This is a new, accessible, and engaging textbook written by academics who also work as consultants with organizations undergoing change. It offers a unique combination of rigorous theoretical exploration together with practical insights from working with those who are actually responsible for managing change. How quickly this occurs depends on the dynamics of fertility, mortality, and overseas migration, while a moderate pace of demographic change allows for gradual adjustment of the economy and policies to the changing population demographics. Rapid changes are more difficult to manage. As a result, governments and society as a whole may need to take actions to address these issues.
Participating regularly in physical activity has been shown to benefit an individual's health and Well-being. Regular physical activity is important in reducing the risk of chronic diseases, such as heart disease and stroke, obesity, diabetes, and some forms of cancer. The National Physical Activity Guidelines for adults recommends at least 30 minutes of moderate intensity physical activity, preferably every day of the week, to obtain health benefits. History is selective. What history books tell us about the past is not everything that happened, but what historians have selected. They cannot put in everything. Choices have to be made. Choices must similarly be made about which aspects of the past should be formally taught to the next generation in the shape of school history lessons.
Tissues are grouped together in the body to form organs. These include the brain, heart, lungs, kidneys, and liver. Each body organ has a specific shape and is made up of different types of tissue that work together. For example, the heart consists mainly of a specialized type of muscle tissue, which contracts rhythmically to provide the heart's pumping action.
When countries assess their annual carbon emissions, they count up their cars and power stations. But bushfires are not included, presumably, because they are deemed to be events beyond human control. In Australia, Victoria alone sees several 100,000 hectares burn each year in both 2004, and more recently, the figure has been over 1 million hectares. Researchers think that longer-distance flyers, such as the American golden plover and the white-rumped sandpiper, picked up the spores while lining their nests. Then, when the birds arrive in new places, they molt, leaving behind the feathers and their precious cargo to start growing again at the other end of the world. We all know about bacteria, viruses, and microscopic protozoa. We can watch the way that these tiny agents move into our bodies and damage our organs. We have a growing understanding of how our body mounts defensive strategies that fight off these invaders, and they've built some clever chemical that can help mount an assault on these biovillains.
Scientists have recommended actions the government of Madagascar's recently elected president, Endry, should take to turn around the precipitous decline of biodiversity and help put Madagascar on a trajectory towards sustainable growth. Madagascar's protected areas, some of the most important for biodiversity in the world, have suffered terribly in recent years from illegal mining, logging, and collection of threatened species for the pet trade.
Food is one of the most important things you'll ever buy, and yet most people never bother to think about their food and where it comes from. People spend a lot more time worrying about what kind of blue jeans to wear, what kind of video games to play, what kind of computers to buy.
The life of a hunter-gatherer is indeed, as Thomas Hobbes said of the state of nature, solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. In some respects, to be sure, wandering through the jungle bagging monkeys may be preferable to the hard slog of subsistence, agriculture.
Investigators also compared those microbes with those living in 52 other soil samples taken from all around the planet. The park had organisms that also exist in deserts, frozen tundra, forests, rainforests, and prairies. Antarctica was the only area that had microbes that did not overlap with those found in Central Park. Only a small percentage of the park's microbes were found to be already listed in databases.
University of Adelaide researchers have uncovered fundamental new information about the malting characteristics of barley grains. They say their finding could pave the way to more stable brewing processes or new malts for craft brewers. Published in the Nature publication's Scientific Reports, the researchers discovered a new link between one of the key enzymes involved in malt production for brewing and a specific tissue layer within the barley grain.
To some extent, attendance at cultural venues and events is influenced by a person's age and the composition of the household in which they live. For example, those people in households with dependent children were more likely to visit zoological parks and aquariums than people living in single-person households. along with customary classes on subjects such as finance, accounting, and marketing. Today's MBA students are enrolling on courses for environmental policy and stewardship. Indeed, more than half of business schools require a course in environmental sustainability or corporate social responsibility, according to a survey of 91 U.S. business schools published in October 2005.
Traditional divisions of domestic work are understood to persist because of the strong association of the home with femininity and paid work with masculinity. To challenge who does what in the home is arguably equivalent to challenging what it is to be a woman or a man.